Shalom, it's Rabbi Rudin. This is the last entry I'll be making for the 10 reasons that Rabbi Saadia taught us about blowing the shofar. So I just wanted to conclude by saying, why did Rav Saadia feel the need to tell us 10 times why to blow the shofar? Isn't it enough that it says so in the Torah and that we should fulfill the mitzvot of the Torah? Why this? The lengthy explanations, 10 different reasons. Everything from the creation of the world, the revelation of the Torah, the coming of Messiah, the warning to do teshuvah, to do repentance, the warning to live life with, or invitation, I should say, rather than warning, to live life with reverence, the invitation to recall the binding of Isaac with the idea that we bind ourselves to God, to pure life, to pure joy, to pure expansiveness. Why, Saadia, did you want us to know all this? Why not just suffice with what it says in the Torah? And the answer is that the Torah itself says, Yom Zikaron Tru'ah. This is to be a day of remembrance of the shofar blast. And so it doesn't specifically say in the Torah, blow the shofar. In Saadia's time, there were Jews called the Karaites, the Kraim, small community who still exists in Israel, who rejected all of rabbinic practice and said that only what the exact words of the Torah are, that's what we shall do. But even they blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah because the Torah is the Torah that's written, we believe, is a document that at the same time it was written, it was also passed on to all of us, to us from the generation at Sinai to today. In other words, there's two Torahs. There's a Torah that's written on the outside and there's a Torah that's in the inside. And that's the Torah that tells us, listen to the shofar blast. It's the tradition that we received on Sinai, not in the written, because the written contains a hint. It says, let it be a day of remembrance of shofar blasts, the day of remembrance of Sinai. But to actually blow the shofar, Rav Saadia explains, we have to actually blow the shofar, not just remember Sinai, but every single day to receive the Torah anew, especially at Rosh Hashanah, when we live that Sinai moment again. So that's why he explains it, because he wants it to be abundantly clear that the Torah means actually sound the shofar, actually try to make it real, make it immediate. The last reason given that Rav Saadia gives to the shofar is this strange belief in Judaism called Tchiyat HaMetim, that the revival of the dead, that we reflect, we believe, in spite of everything, that those we mourn and those we have lost will someday, somehow, beyond all of our understanding, be returned to us, and we will be together again. Now, do we understand this metaphorically? Do we understand in the sense of some kind of spiritual afterlife or some kind of melding of the self into the life of the universe, and there we find all those we love again? Or do we mean it exactly as it says? We know that there are people who have passed who tell us before they pass that they can see people who've gone on before welcome them. Do we believe it in a literal sense? This, I think, is a question that every Jew has to ask themselves. And maybe we believe different things in different parts of our lives, or maybe we believe different things in different parts of the day, or maybe, I don't know. But at any rate, I know that my dad's birthday was yesterday, and he would have been 90. And I felt his presence very strongly, and whether it's just wishful thinking, or whether it's something inside of myself, or whether it's something beyond myself. The idea that when you hear the sound of the shofar, we turn to that which is eternal in us. And more than that, when you hear the sound of the shofar, you're supposed to let that sound, that moment, melt into every other moment that you heard the shofar blow. Because ultimately, moments and time itself is the experience of the person, the subjective. But time itself, objectively, maybe it doesn't exist at all. in the same way that a little stick floating down a stream experiences, here's the rapids, and then there's a bridge, and then there's an eddy, and then there's a dam, experiences that as time. To the person who's standing above the stream, it's just one stream where all of those things are not individual events, but they're just one part of this stream. Maybe that's what the shofar is trying to remind us, that ultimately there is one moment. There is not time, there is one moment. From God's point of view, we're still, all of us, all who have ever been, are still there in that timeless moment of God time, of God's universe, where it all exists, still there. Not to be returned, not to come back to life, but still alive, always have been alive. So this is the moment when we allow ourselves to feel connected to all of life, those who have gone on before us, those with us now, those yet to be, those in the distant past. We stand together one last time. Shana Tova Tikatevu V'Tichatemu. May you be signed and sealed for a year of life, goodness, renewal, and hope. Thank you for joining me on this journey.